Today, everybody, we're going to be talking about a film that is in probably one of my favorite film genres of all time, horror. And this film just so happens to be the latest horror film of the year, or rather 2022 and now 2023 as a release in the Philippines, because just so happens that one of our homegrown talents just so happens to be one of the main cast members of this film that was made in the UK. And this film, of course, is Nocebo, starring Eva Green, Mark Strong, and our very own Chai Fonacier. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Cup of Geek podcast. I am Blake Salcedo, aka Aqua Blake, and of course, with me is our Night of Fun and Geeky Pinoy. Guys, make yourselves known. Night of Fun.
Okay, sige. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. I am your Night of Fun, and you can find me on TikTok, on Instagram, on Facebook, and on Twitter. Pero sa Twitter, I am your Night of _ fun. I do a lot of comic book and movie reviews on my social, so check my short but sweet reviews on those platforms.
Maganda,
No.
maganda, 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 maganda. Pwede ba yun? Hindi pala. Naku, baka makapiright tayo.
Baka makapiright ka.
Cancel na. Cancel na sana mga anime fans. Makancel pa ako ng mga radio fanatic. Ayun. So, Geeky Pinoy, the person who always gets canceled. So, you can find me on TikTok, on YouTube, on Instagram, and the trending canceled people. I'll be number 1 soon. Geeky Pinoy.
Napaisip tuloy ako, is there a view on TikTok that may top trending, meron kang top canceled?
Top canceled. I'll make sure to be number 1. Okay? I'll make sure to be trending always. Sino pa bang kailangan kong... Ano pa bang fanbase ang dapat kasagasaan?
K-pop.
Just comment down below. Twice versus Marvel.
Let's go.
Blackpink versus DC. I'll do that for you guys. What an intro.
Okay, we're off to a good start. All right. Okay, so today, everybody, we're going to be talking about a film that is in probably one of my favorite film genres of all time, horror. And this film just so happens to be the latest horror film of the year, or rather 2022 and now 2023 as a release in the Philippines, because just so happens that one of our homegrown talents just so happens to be one of the main cast members of this film that was made in the UK. And this film, of course, is Nocebo, starring Eva Green, Mark Strong, and our very own Chai Fonacier. So guys, you like horror movies?
I don't. Ang bilis no? Okay. Let me give you actually I have a seasonal liking for horror movies. I remember, I think I did a movie marathon of the Saw movies. But that's a slasher horror movie. But I tried to do a marathon of the paranormal activity. Hindi ko kaya. So in terms of horror movies, I have a specific genre, a subgenre. So slasher films I can handle. Thriller, yung mga psycho thriller films kaya ko. Pero if meron na siyang mga multot, mga nagpaparamdam, I try to stay away from those types of movies. So I have not watched Conjuring. I've not watched Annabelle, no. But I've watched Megan. I watched Nocebo, and recently I watched Bodies. So there, I have medyo a little bit okay lang sa akin yung horror. May specific subgenre lang na ako pinipili.
I actually hated horror before dahil kay Canoli. because of Magandang Gabi Ba. Una yan. Ay, hindi siya horror movie kasi totoo daw yun eh. So I hate those before. And then my love for horror story started again when The Ring, uh, Conjuring, diba nagkaroon niya ng certain blast ng puro horror movies. If I'm not mistaken, mga first year college ako, second year college, mga ganyan. Dami niyan. And then medyo nag-stop ako mag-watch ng horror when I was already dating my wife right now, yung wife ko, because she totally hates it. Sabi nga niya sa akin, bakit ako manonood ng something na sisirain lang yung araw ko? Parang gano'n. So, sige, okay, di, huwag tayo manood.
Ako, we have a rule with my wife when we watch horror. Panonoodin namin siya during the day. Hindi pwedeng last full show.
Then recently, yun nga, unti-unti. And, ayun, yun sa akin. There's like a love-hate relationship of horror movies sa akin.
Well, I, for one, love horror movies a lot. It's like my bread and butter. And now, this film, Nocebo, is actually a supernatural and psychological horror film, which tends to happen a lot because a lot of supernatural horror films tend to work best when it always has that added flair of psychological horror as well. Now, of course, the story itself is of Eva Green, who her character Christine is going through some afflictions that she's having after something terrible happens. Ooh, spoilers. And now she has this maid who comes from the Philippines to try and help her through these ritualistic practices that some of you, or some of us in the Philippines, are very well aware of and know of. But of course, some supernatural shenanigans happens, and a lot of things unravel. We're not gonna spoil it because it's still fresh, but we are gonna talk about some plot details. So we might, we're gonna talk about spoilers a little bit. Yeah.
I think we cannot not talk about some spoilers, but we'll try to minimize what we can talk about.
True. Okay, so first things first. With any horror film, the best thing or best way to rate or talk about a horror film is how was the horror of this film? So how was the horror for Nocebo for you guys?
Okay, I'll start. Being that I am also Bisaya and I speak the language, and you hear a lot of Visayan words in the movie. As a Bisaya speaking person, it kinda the dialogue or the tension that the creators were trying to build in this movie kind of took that away from me, because I was kind of laughing in my head why the Visayan words were used. But then again, I have to respect the perspective of not just me as a Visayan viewer, but because this is an international film, people from around the world will be able to watch this. So in their heads, this might be a little bit scary. It's not a language that they're familiar with. And it sounds a little bit creepy. So it might be a little bit scary. But personally, because I speak Bisaya, I was kind of laughing in my head. Why does this sound like this? But I'm not taking away the horror behind it. Pero still, it was good enough. It was good enough.
Ang talagang nagustuhan ko with Nocebo is it's not more of the it has a story behind. It has urban legends and rituals that were not just made by the director or by the writer. There's really like history from it. It's like pag nakita mo siya, oo, talagang may ganyan talaga dito sa Philippines. Yes, talagang may mga ganyan talagang practices. But it doesn't have that much jump scare. It doesn't have much, parang like other horror films na too much parang gulat effect nga. But it has a build-up of there's something that you need to be really afraid of. And it's not more of you na kakainin ka at lalapain ka lang niya. Hindi siya ganun eh. But it's more on suffering that you'll be getting or yung mga consequences na mga. So it's ang ganda ng build up nung scare niya. And it's something na dapat hindi ka mag-restroom. Although takot na takot ka na. Ayaw mo mag-restroom kasi nga there's some elements that you might miss and you won't understand it in the long run. So, yun.
True. I mean, me personally, yeah. I didn't really think it was scary per se in a traditional sense of a horror movie because, like me, I don't like jump scares. I don't like jump scares in horror movies. I think they're a cheap tactic just to elicit a shock value. And honestly, I'm glad that they didn't do a lot of jump scares in this. Hardly any jump scares, but it's the way that they did the visuals that were really creepy. I wouldn't say scary, but creepy and disturbing to a point that the fact that it's not just the fact that it looks otherworldly, but it's also the fact that this is real. These are things that actually happen or could happen you see day to day if you're in the Philippines. But if like you're other world, they'll be like, oh my god, it's so scary, and we're just like, this is a Tuesday for us. I don't know with you guys, but yeah. And yeah, that's about as well because the horror may not have been as horrifying, but the story is what kept me engaged, especially with everything building up, as you've said, to what is about to be revealed, what's about to happen. And for me, I think the story is the most terrifying thing, and like, because it hits close to home.
It really hits close to home. One thing that I was really happy about this film is you get to see, okay, it's set in if I'm not mistaken, Ireland, so it's an Irish setting. Then you have, syempre, I have a little bit of crush with Ava Green when I saw her in 300. So if you know what I mean. and then you have a good actor in Mark Strong, diba? And then here comes Chai, the character of Chai, Diana. When her presence in that movie is actually terrifying. She's kind of creepy in a sense. So, she has this smile that makes me not want to trust her, and that's what's really interesting. In the first act of the film, I was kind of looking at the plot, trying to think about the plot and looking at it. Siguro si Chai, ano yan, parang she's really there to help. Parang nandun talaga siya para tumulong. Alam ko may ano siya. She can be trustworthy pero I'm wrong. I was wrong. No, I was wrong. You'll find out in the second and third act na something's may backstory yun kung bakit. So the whole film was me actually trying to find out, can I really trust Chai or Diana? Can I really believe in what Diana is selling, the character of Evergreen Christine? And all the time, titingnan ko, baka naman kasi may ano siya, meron talaga siyang totoong motibo na talagang gusto lang talaga tumulong, pero hindi pa rin, may something may ewan ko dito parang may misteryo pa rin si Diana So I think that's what kept me watching this film, and to have that payoff in the end is nasatisfied naman ako na okay, ito pala yung backstory niya, ito pala yung nangyari, kung bakit ito nangyayari sa buhay ni Christine and sa pamilya niya, and kung bakit nandun sa Ireland si Diana. And yeah, so that siguro yung concept kasi ng horror kasi, diba, is not really on the scares but more on the exploration of your fears and putting them into a platform to tell about it. Siguro it talked about yung fear ni Christine na ano siya, na she has this this background, she has this memory of something that's really worst, that you can have as a person, and as someone who is kumbaga pushing for something in your career, pero meron kang tinatagong sikreto, and then yung fear mo na malaman ng tao yung sikreto mo, that's what's really driving this story, no? So, and that one I really appreciated sa movie na to.
Mm.
Yung build ng yung build ng mga questions kada may nangyayari, you always ask questions, baka ganito, baka ganyan. Bakit nandito ngayon si Diana, out of nowhere, bigla siya nasa doorstep ni Christine. Christine doesn't have any idea. O, diba, we don't have an idea na meron pala siyang history in the Philippines or in the back of her business. Baga, there are a lot of questions that build up. And ayun nga the good thing with this horror story is there are a lot of questions, not scary wise as far as with the traditional horror. Siguro wala pa sa 50% para sa akin. Pero creepiness wise, more than 100. Nakita ko lang yung dog na maraming garapata. Medyo sabi ko, out of naman ito si Asong Askal napunta ng Ireland. Sabi ko. Kumbaga yung creepiness level niya sobrang taas. Then yun the build-up of the story, ang galing. Kasi nga, it gives you a lot of question na in the end naman, sabi nga ni Ray, you'll be satisfied with the ending because it really gave a lot of answers doon sa mga na-build mong questions. Yung hindi ka nabitin, but parang alam mo yun, alam mong hindi tama yung ginawa ni Diana, pero sabi, yan, buti na lang. Parang, it's the first time na parang kumampi ka pa dun sa kumampi ka pa dun sa gumamit ng bad elements, pero
bilang Pinoy.
Bilang Pinoy. So,
bilang
yun,
Pinoy.
Diba? It's not because so, yun nga, pero ako aminin ko, pinanood ko yung Tanghaling Tapat, so hindi ko masasabing matapang ako. Pinanood ko yung Tanghaling Tapat, okay? Yun.
And another thing I also want to talk about with the film, because of course there are two worlds that the film features. You have, Christine's life and you have Diana's life, and of course, very separate locations. You have, Ireland, and you have, Philippines, and of course, I don't want to talk about the Ireland. I want to talk about the Philippines part. But no. On all seriousness, how did it feel like to see like the Philippines being portrayed in that way, in a way like that in the film? Do you think that I mean, of course, like with all due respect, the film was also helped made by the Film Development Council of the Philippines, so of course they had a hand in shooting some of the scenes, or rather all the scenes in the Philippines, along with the crew and production of the unit that was here. But of course, shooting it is different from presenting it. So I got to ask you guys, how did it feel, or what were your initial thoughts, of how the Philippines was being presented in a foreign film? Do you think it was a disservice? Do you think it was true to life? Do you think it's a poverty porn thing? Or
actually I was
or do you
trying,
think it's got better than more film tips?
when we talk about poverty porn, even our local films have that, diba? Even independent films also have that. But the question is, the use of that element, poverty and the likes, in the film, is it relevant to telling the story? And I think for this story, I think it is, because we are talking about a simple family who's just trying to get by on a day-to-day basis. They're trying to, the character Diane is just trying to look for a job, trying to feed their family, and part of that, the message, or the core that the movie is telling us is, there's this high demand for fast fashion, for products that are used for on a day-to-day basis. So where do this big company source or find find this resources. So they look at our country, the Philippines, which is we can get the cheapest probably in terms of labor,
Labor,
in terms of getting the productivity, the
manpower.
manpower. So there's that message that this movie is sending. So I think the poverty porn that this movie is showing is not really a disservice, but is an actual truth to the message that they're sending.
Mm.
What I see to it is, yun nga, like what Ray said, if it's nandun siya sa core ng story, because yung pinaka-drive ni Diana is really vengeance or really get back to Christine. And tingin ko, it will not it will not have that bigger or big impact or the big emotion to get to that type of vengeance if it's not in that kind of setting. And yes, it's really happening in the real world. Hindi naman siya yung tipong halos kumakain ng kaning baboy si Diana. Hindi naman to
Uh,
the point na nakatira talaga sila sa basurahan. Hindi naman siya ganun. Kumbaga, typical Filipinos who are working ass off para mabuhay yung anak niya. It was tingin ko yun nga yung average living talaga ng Filipino. Hindi naman siya talagang kinunan sa squatters area. Hindi naman siya kinunan sa may tabi ng ilog na puro basura. Tingin ko dun pumapasok yung poverty porn if it focuses on yung pagiging third world ng Philippines. But the life of Diana portrayed in the movie, for me, it shows that they're just trying to work a living. It just so happened na parang na-exploit talaga sila. And it's really happening in the real world or in true life, diba? Kumbaga, um, big brands, sabihin na natin, like a lot of big brands from the Western countries are really outsourcing in third world countries, not just in the Philippines. Diba? May Vietnam, may China, where they're getting lesser expense as far as with manpower. And I think kaya malaki yung hugot niya. Pero siguro, tayong mga Filipino ang titingin nun eh. Actually, tayong Filipino medyo magiging critic nun. Are we being exploited? Is this dahil mahirap tayo yung nilagay dyan sa story na yan? Pero of course, for the Western countries, it's more on para sa nila is FYI eh. Nangyayari pala talaga to. Kaya pala, so hindi pala, mga ganito. Kasi diba tinatanong nila, saan ina-outsource mga ganyan? Nalalaman talaga sa mga countries na tulad natin. And ang concern ko lang talaga nung una, baka mamaya maapektuhan yung mga OFW natin. Tulog sa
baka unang tanong, alam mo ba yung do you know how to do Philippine voodoo?
Do you know how to wish? Yun lang. Pero I think it's on the thin line din talaga of getting to poverty. Pero kasi kumbaga pasok pa rin siya sa story as far as with how I understand it.
True. I agree because like it's very important to story. And yeah, as you said, also relates as well to fast fashion, and then there's also things about colonialism and how the exploitation of, for example, Southeast Asian countries being used by Western countries for products and all these things, services that still happen to this day, but terrible injustice that I'm glad that the film was able to explore this and bring it more in light. A lot of films that like explore this, but then but it's only very rare that a foreign film, a Western film, would explore those very themes that so many of our Filipino films have been trying to do many years, and to great success as well in the mind. But for one of my last questions, and this I've noticed something. this is technically in the technical aspect of the film and also relating to other films that feature the Philippines, like for example, Nocebo and Golden Holiday, which is a South Korean film that was shot in the Philippines. There is a very big difference of how Filipino films are made that show the Philippines and foreign films that show it that it's just very different in
Mm.
terms of quality. That some on the internet have said, "Wow, my Philippines looks so great, it looks so amazing." Like it looks so HD, but then compare that to local films, it's less than favorable when there's a comparison. So I don't mean to bring this kind of topic up, but do you think that foreign film, like, do you guys think that foreign films, like for example, Nocebo, show or shoot or present the Philippines aesthetically better
Mhm.
than we do?
Um, it's not really how. Sige, for Nocebo, I think it was shot really good. Um, you would have to look at the way that the cinematographer uh put the frames in terms of shooting what is in the Philippines and versus what we can see in Ireland in the movie. Um, and I think if I was the one holding the camera, um, the movie made better. Syempre, syempre magaling yung yung cinematographer doon, 'di ba? Pero you have all the elements to tell the story from the Nocebo point of view, to showcase, or not really to showcase, but to really tell what is happening in terms of the labor situation in the Philippines. And I think that's what the cinematography is telling us. But if you look at the way that our other films, local films, have been handling cinematography, I think we've been doing really good. I watched The Big Night just a few days ago, and this is the first time that I saw The Big Night. I was impressed with how the film was made. It's a very uh, low budget film. You only have, probably the budget went to the stars that were showcased in that film. But it's really low budget, but the camera work, even if it's showcasing the slums, was really effective. And I really like how the camera was taking me and leading me to the story. Also a few days ago, I also watched Bardo by Inarritu, which,
Mm.
if you know Inarritu, he has the probably the most spectacular cinematography movements, cinema camera movements ever in, probably in what, from in history. Um and it's beautiful as well because just the camera moving from point A to point B, continuous movement from point A to point B, and showcasing what's around the surroundings. I think we are at par in terms of the cinematography. We can do what foreign films can do. It's just that we don't have to limit ourselves to probably the slums and whatever. We can probably look at the provinces, the some of the scenic areas in the provinces, and maybe showcase our country there as well. So it's really camera work, but not really but we can still do, or kaya natin lumaban in terms of in terms of cinematography versus other foreign films.
Mm.
Oh, also what I understand with cinematography, it's almost the same elements with photography. It would really uh, the power is really on how in the eyes of the person holding the camera or holding the uh, yeah yung mga equipment. So it will really boil. Of course, if you really already have a very good story, very good story to tell, and the communication between the writers, the director, and now the cameraman. Or, kasi di ba gumagawa naman sila ng, ano ba tawag nila doon? Parang
Storyboards.
panel-panel, storyboards eh.
Mm.
Kumbaga, they already have an idea how the shot will be made or how the scenes should look when it comes to the video na. So, doon pa lang, napaplansya na nila. But I agree with Ray. We are improving in terms of cinematography. There are a lot of movies na sobrang simple lang pero dahil hindi lahat nakafocus sa slums ng Philippines, sa mga drug addicts, sa mga beggars. Hindi, kumbaga, there are a lot of movies like sabihin natin, ano ba yung kay Angelica Panganiban pati kay Carlo Aquino, yung
Yung
pumunta sila
dating
sa
ko tadhana.
Oo, diba? That one was very simple story, but it showcased a lot of the country, the Sagada, the Baguio. There are a lot of, parang, ay, alam mo na, siyempre bilang Filipino, alam na kagad natin, ay, Baguio yan, malamig, maganda. And a lot of foreign peeps naman din na, wow, it's really good that wala in the Philippines. Hindi pala nakakatakot. Hindi pala siya, hindi naman sila mukhang third world. So, it would really rely on the person, una sa story, and then to the people holding the camera. And hopefully, will still be good. Bawasan lang yung mga politika sa sa
Saka
movie industry.
saka product placements na awkward.
Na hindi na hindi dapat
na hindi dapat. Okay lang naman may product placement. Wag lang maging awkward. Like there's this film na nandun si John Lloyd na I think kasama sino yun? Si Jenny, I forgot the name, pero simpleng ganun lang niya lang kamay. Alam mo na. Ganun lang tapos alam ko yan, alam ko anong brand yan.
Wag masyadong expose or masyadong obvious.
Masyadong obvious yung mga product placements.
We'll get there. I think we'll get there. Is as far as with the films that we're getting right now, hindi naman siya lahat sobrang sablay. Things are improving. Hopefully sa series din natin.
I think there's this new series, diba? Mukhang maganda yung feedback. And Maria Clara Ibarra also, maganda yung
Ano ba yun? Yung
Dirty
Linen ba yun?
Parang Dirty Linen. It's getting a lot of praises.
Lumabas na rin sa newsfeed ko yun. Sabi, sige, tignan natin.
Alright guys, to wrap this up, this last topic is something a little bit personal for me, since I'm in the same field of this. But of course, the highlight of the film is definitely Chai Fonacier, an actress from the Philippines who is not considered as big as, let's say, Liza Soberano, Nadine Lustre, yet she was chosen for the film. And to give background, she's not one to play typecast roles. She would refuse to play a maid because, of course, she doesn't want to get typecast. And she was able to manage to get this role in a major foreign film with Eva Green and Mark Strong. And it just goes to show, and I want your thoughts on this. I'll give my thoughts on this as well, because there are a lot of Filipino actors in the country that are very talented, very, very rich with skill and talent, yet a lot of people would feel this, and it's been proven already with Dolly, Chai, and many others before them, that they're not given their proper due in the Philippines. Yet in other countries, they seem to be much more appreciated, which is sad, but which also, funny enough, ties into the film Nocebo, where you take something from the Philippines and then they make it into something a bit more welcoming, or rather just consumer friendly, so to speak, in other countries. So yeah, what do you guys think of that, honestly?
I think it's the problem with our audience. we are a very masa audience, and whatever pleases the masa is what will click. So you have beautiful faces that really are shown in the what do you call this, yung prime time, during prime time uh, oras sa sa TV. But at the same time, when yun namang hindi naman binayaan in terms of ganda ng katawan, napupunta naman
The
sa
beauty standards,
but
yung beauty
pag
standards.
hindi naman siya dumataas
Mm.
ang level in terms of beauty standards, they cast type sa comedy, 'di ba? Or they can probably play well sa comedy. And yung mga hindi naman katalinuhan, ganun din, napupunta sa comedy. But I guess that's how we perceive our celebrities, our actors and actresses. But if you look at naman yung especially the independent films, yung mga yung mga pinapakita sa mga film festivals. Hindi naman ito yung mga big stars eh. Some of them are really actually really good in terms of portraying the roles that are given to them. Only that hindi lang sila click to the general audience, which is the masa. So, medyo lang
I
tayo.
think we just need to lessen junk food. And eat more go grow and glow foods. Kasi it's cinema is also like food. We love to get the usual ones that we get every day na easy to digest, easy to get, pleasing sa eyes, pleasing sa and then we take for granted those talents na we na pag nagkaroon na siya ng click from the other countries, proud Pinoy na bigla tayo. So that's sad.
Yeah.
That's sad in a way na we just become proud dahil na showcase na siya by other countries. But when they are here, we don't give them much attention. So hopefully we'll get more. Ako nga, I'm not sure if there's like an award-winning group where they really focus more on independent films. Na talagang yung alam ko
Cinemalaya.
Cinemalaya is doing that before.
Cinemalaya.
Diba? Parang hopefully they'll get more of that. Kasi ako personally, I'm a big fan of Cinemalaya. Like if I can buy a CD, I buy a DVD of Cinemalaya before I do that. But I'm happy. Of course, I'm happy for Chai, for Dolly. Dati close kami. Siyempre ngayon, iba na yun. Like Steven Spielberg, kapitbahay ko yan. Kumbaga, I'm happy for them. Pero, kasi that's the sad thing about Filipinos eh. We appreciate them when they already get or they get appreciated outside of the country. Doon lang tayo nagiging proud. But unlike we don't hone the popularity here then go abroad. Popular muna sila sa ibang bansa bago natin siya na-appreciate.
Parang
that's sad.
The concept of having a local mill or factory of really talented people and then saka mo siya i-export abroad. It's not really a concept that we have. Na parang, okay, we just build talent here if number one, probably some talent but not at the maximum. Pretty face. Pwede ka na. Yung mga with talent naman, pero not as much pretty face. O pwedeng side character, pwedeng extra or whatever. Pero not really pushed forward. And I think, I'm not sure if talagang ganun talaga rin culture natin na yun yung digest natin on a day-to-day basis when we watch the TV, di ba? And we can't blame them. Even in Hollywood, syempre, nandyan din yun sina Angelina Jolie, sina Brad Pitt rin eh.
True. Well, hopefully there's more diversity in the talent pool, or rather the public perception of talents and actors in the Philippines, because guys, come on, support local talent. Otherwise, we'll go to Europe or America. Isa's in America. She ain't coming back.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think that's just about it. I mean, the movie's a pretty short movie. The majority of everything that's there is basically covered. Um,
It's
although
still in the
I do
cinemas,
hope that
right? Nocebo
Wala
is
na.
still in the cinemas.
It's no longer in the
wala
Wala
na.
cinemas by
na.
the time of this recording.
Nah,
It
yeah.
has a very limited
Tayo.
run. But again, watch out
But
for it sa streaming. So,
yeah, it
hopefully
is. It is going to be out on streaming, guys.
yun. Saan nga? I think
Hopefully.
Prime. It's gonna be on
Mm,
Yeah,
Prime.
Prime.
okay din. No?
Yeah.
I think Prime is a good,
Prime, and the legal means to watch films
Yep.
online, guys.
please.
Not the illegal means.
No.
You go to the copy online, and it's on YouTube. But don't go to YouTube. Sucks. You guys are watching this on YouTube. I don't know. I don't know, guys. Anyways, all right. Yep. This has been the Cover Geek podcast. We were just talking about Nocebo. Of course, I have been Aqua Blake Salcedo. You can always find me on TikTok, Facebook, IG, and probably in a corner trying to think of a new horror film to write for the Philippines. I don't know, maybe.
Watch Bodies, Blake,
Guys,
if you watch it already. Or if you have not watched it yet. It has an
I gotta
ending.
watch that.
It has a WTF ending.
I gotta watch that. I got so much horror films to watch. All right, guys, take them home. Take them home.
Alright, sige. So,
Alright, yeah.
go. Go, Noah.
Ah, Geeky Pinoy. All right. So yeah, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, and again, shameless plug ko na rin, the Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania. We're gonna have a block screening. Geek Talk PH will be there sa North EDSA. That will be on February 15, 6 p.m. Tama ba? If I'm not mistaken. But on February 15, you can go to our Facebook page. You can register there and see you guys there on SM North. February 15.
Nice.
February 15.
Ayan. Salamat, Noah. And ako naman si Ray, and I'm your Night of Fun. And you can find me on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and on Twitter, I am night_of_fun. And by the way, sa TikTok, I'm gonna hit a milestone very soon. I'm just 80 followers more to reach 10K. So if by this week, maabot ko yung 10K, I'm gonna do a giveaway. I'm gonna announce a giveaway sa next episode ng Cup of Geek. So, abangan nyo
Pwede.
yung geek, yung announcement
Sali kami
na
ni
yan.
Blake.
Hindi kayo kasama dyan.
Oh, that's not people.
Ano tayo eh?
So, I'm gonna give some, probably some toys and comics in a beautifully packaged Night of Fun baul. Yan, abangan nyo announcement when we reach that milestone.
All right. Anyways, guys, we have been the Cup of Geek podcast. Remember, have fun, stay safe, lock your doors, don't watch horror movies at night unless you're the type of people that like to watch horror movies at night. And yeah, go watch more horror films, guys.
Yes. Let's go.
Make sure to bat your dog. Sundan yung mga aso nyo, ha?